Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. See, everybody out here wants to know the secret. Every woman in this room has wondered at some point, what makes a man stay? What makes him loyal? What makes him love me forever? And I'm going to give it to you straight because I don't believe in sugarcoating. Respect is the crown. It is the one thing that separates a temporary situation from a lifelong commitment. When we talk about loyalty, about love that lasts through the storms, through the temptations, through the distractions of life, it all begins with respect. Respect is not just a word we throw around lightly. Respect is the invisible crown a woman wears that commands how a man approaches her, how he treats her, and how he thinks of her when she's not around. Respect is the silent law in the relationship that governs behavior without having to be shouted, begged, or explained over and over. A man might be drawn to beauty, but beauty without respect is like a diamond with no setting. It shines for a moment, but it gets lost in the shuffle. Respect is the crown because it frames everything else. It makes a man step differently. When he respects you, his loyalty isn't about fear. It's about honor. A man doesn't protect what he doesn't respect. He doesn't invest in what he doesn't respect. And he doesn't stay with what he doesn't respect. Respect is the crown because it makes him see you as rare, valuable, and irreplaceable. Now here's the thing, respect starts with you before it ever reaches him. The way you respect yourself sets the standard for how he will respect you. If you respect your time, he will treat your time as valuable. If you respect your heart, he will guard your heart. If you respect your boundaries, he will know he cannot cross them without consequences. The crown is not something you hand to him. The crown is something you wear every single day in the way you carry yourself, the way you speak, the way you stand on what you believe in. Think about it. A man can't crown you with respect. He can give you affection, attention, even gifts. But respect that's born out of what you demand and what you display. A woman who knows her worth does not lower her standard for temporary affection. She doesn't barter her crown for convenience. She doesn't bend her values just to keep somebody around. And because she won't bend, because she won't compromise her crown. The right man, when he comes, he sees her differently. He doesn't see her as an option. He sees her as the prize. Respect is the crown because it keeps you from being put on the clearance rack. Think of a high-end store. You don't see those luxury items marked down, thrown in a bargain bin, or begging people to buy them. Why? Because the value is already understood. The crown of respect works the same way. A man knows he has to come correct because what you carry isn't found everywhere. And when he knows that, he becomes intentional. He puts in the effort. He keeps his word. He shows consistency. Respect is what pushes him to honor his promises, even when nobody's watching. And let me say this, respect is not about arrogance. It's not about being hard to deal with. It's not about walking around with an attitude. Respect is quiet strength. Respect is dignity. Respect is the grace that says, I know who I am, and I will not let you or anyone else treat me as less. A man feels that. A man sees that. He might not even be able to explain it, but he knows it when he's in the presence of it. That crown commands without shouting. It draws without chasing. It holds without force. Respect is also the filter. Without respect, a man might say anything, do anything, and think he can get away with it. But when he respects you, certain words don't leave his mouth. Certain actions don't even cross his mind. He knows there's a line. And that line is not a wall. It's not about pushing him away. It's about protecting the relationship from poison. Respect is the crown that protects both of you. Because when he respects you, he respects himself more. He takes pride in being with you. He thinks twice before doing something reckless. He looks at loyalty not as a burden, but as a privilege. Respect is the crown because it creates space for love to grow. Love without respect is shallow. Love without respect is unstable. But love that is rooted in respect has foundation. It is not shaken easily. It does not get lost in small disagreements. It doesn't fade when the excitement wears off. Respect keeps love alive because it makes a man feel responsible, accountable, and proud to give you his best. Respect is not just about what happens when you're together. It's about what happens when you're not there. Does he speak to you with honor when your name comes up? Does he shut down disrespectful conversations about you? Does he carry himself in a way that reflects the bond you share? That is the test of respect. Because loyalty isn't just about actions, it's about mindset. A man who respects you will protect you in every room you're not in. That crown sits on your head, but it shows up everywhere he goes. And let's be real, respect works both ways. A man wants respect too. But here's the difference. When you wear your crown, when you carry yourself with self-respect, it inspires him to rise to his own. The boundary you set is not just for you. It becomes the mirror that shows him how to treat you, how to treat himself, and how to treat the relationship. Respect makes him better, not just as your partner, but as a man. He takes pride in living up to the standard you represent. He sees himself differently because he sees you differently. Respect is the crown because it is timeless. Looks may change, bodies may age, circumstances may shift, but respect doesn't expire. Respect doesn't wrinkle. Respect doesn't fade. And that's why it keeps him loyal and in love forever. Because a man may forget what you wore. He may forget what you cooked. But he will never forget how your crown made him feel. That feeling of being proud to stand next to you, that feeling of wanting to guard you, that feeling of knowing he can't replace you, that comes from respect. Boundaries define value. The way you draw your lines, the way you communicate what is acceptable and what is not, that's how you teach people what your value is. A man will never know your worth if you don't make it clear through the boundaries you set. See, people like to talk about love, chemistry, attraction, passion. All of that sounds good. But the truth is, none of that can survive if there are no boundaries. Boundaries are the quiet rules of engagement. They tell a man, without you even raising your voice, exactly how far he can go, what he can play with, and what he must respect. Boundaries don't push a man away. Boundaries separate the boys from the men. The boys want access without responsibility. The men respect limits because they understand that value isn't free. When you set a boundary, you're not making life hard. You're showing that you are not available to just anyone in any way at any time. You're saying, this is sacred. This is not to be played with. And when a man sees that he doesn't run from it, he adjusts to it. A real man steps up when he sees the line because he knows crossing it means losing something priceless. Boundaries define value because they prevent cheap behavior from becoming the standard. When you don't set them, you give permission for anything. And once anything becomes acceptable, everything becomes possible, including disrespect, inconsistency, and dishonesty. A man is like water. He will always take the shape of the container he's poured into. If your boundaries are loose, he will spill everywhere. But if your boundaries are clear, he will hold steady. He will rise up to meet the structure. That's how value is communicated, not in words alone, but in actions and enforcement. And here's the truth. Boundaries are not about control. They're about clarity. You're not trying to control a man's every move. You're showing him how to interact with your world. You're showing him that your time has value, that your energy has value, that your body, your heart, your dreams, your peace all have value. You're saying, if you want access to this, if you want to be close to me, then you must come with respect, consistency, and effort. That's not arrogance. That's self-awareness. That's understanding the difference between being available and being valuable. Think about how society works. Everything valuable comes with boundaries. You don't just walk into a bank vault and take what you want. You don't just stroll into a luxury boutique and demand a bag without a price tag. You don't just cut across a VIP rope without permission. Why? Because those boundaries communicate that what's behind them has value. The velvet rope isn't there to block people for no reason. It's there to remind you that everybody can't have this. Your boundaries do the exact same thing in a relationship. They say, I'm not for everybody. If you want this connection, you better treat it with care. Boundaries define value because they set the tone for loyalty. A man who respects your boundaries is a man who understands how to respect the relationship. He knows where the line is, and he knows not to play on it. And when he sees that you enforce those boundaries, it sends a message. This is a woman I cannot afford to lose. Boundaries turn curiosity into commitment because only a man who is serious will respect them long term. Anybody can put on a show for a few weeks, but boundaries reveal who's real. Now, let's be honest. Some women fear setting boundaries because they think it will scare men away. But let me flip that thought. Boundaries don't scare the right man away. They scare the wrong man away. The ones who vanish after you enforce your limits weren't going to stay anyway. They were there for convenience, not commitment. And isn't it better to find that out early instead of after you've wasted time, energy, and love on somebody who never intended to honor you? Boundaries are like a filter. They remove the dust, the dirt, the unnecessary. What's left is what belongs. And don't mistake boundaries for walls. Walls shut everyone out. Boundaries invite the right people in, but with order, with respect, with structure. When you have boundaries, you're not saying, I don't want love. You're saying, I want love, but not at the cost of losing myself. That's what defines value, knowing you can give love without selling your soul, that you can share your heart without abandoning your standards. Boundaries also keep balance in the relationship. When you don't set them, resentment grows. You end up over-giving, over-sacrificing, and then wondering why you feel drained. Boundaries prevent that imbalance. They make sure that giving is mutual, that love is reciprocal. That effort flows both ways. And a man who respects those boundaries will never accuse you of being too much. He will understand that your limits are the very reason he can trust your love. Because if you honor yourself, he can trust that you'll honor him too. Boundaries define value in another way. They separate temporary attention from real investment. Anyone can give you a text at midnight. Anyone can buy you dinner. But when you say, I don't entertain calls at certain hours, or I won't be treated like an option, or I expect consistency, you're putting a price on access. You're saying, this is not cheap real estate. This is prime property. And the man who wants it will pay the price, not with money, but with effort, time, honesty, and loyalty. That's how value gets reinforced. Boundaries are also generational. They teach the next generation how to love. When a man sees you uphold your standards, when your children or friends or family see it, it sets a model. It shows them what love is supposed to look like. That's why boundaries are not selfish, they are legacy. They pass down a blueprint. They create a culture of respect that doesn't just stop with you. Boundaries define value because they keep love healthy. Think about a garden. Without fences, animals trample it, weeds overrun it, and the flowers never get the chance to bloom. But with a fence, with boundaries, that garden thrives. Your love is the same way. Boundaries protect it from being trampled by carelessness, dishonesty, or neglect. They give it the environment it needs to grow strong, beautiful, and lasting. And let's not forget this, boundaries are not one-time conversations. They are a lifestyle. You can't just announce them once and then let them slide. Every time you enforce a boundary, you reinforce your value. Every time you let a boundary slip, you tell them your value can be negotiated. And value should never be up for negotiation. If a man respects you, he will respect the line you draw even when it challenges him. And if he refuses, then he was never meant to walk with you anyway. Boundaries define value because they demand that love show up in its highest form. They weed out the lazy, the inconsistent, the half-hearted. They make sure that when a man says he loves you, it is not just with words, but with action that honors the space you created. And that's why, at the end of the day, the boundary is not the barrier, it's the blessing. Standards shape loyalty. A man doesn't wake up loyal just because he fell in love. Loyalty is not automatic, it's cultivated, guided, and reinforced by the standards you set. Standards are like the blueprint for the relationship. They are the rules of engagement, the expectation that says, if you want me, if you want us, here's how we move. A man can admire you, be attracted to you, even say he loves you, but without standards, his behavior has no anchor. Standards are what separate a passing phase from a permanent commitment. When a woman has standards, she teaches a man how to love her, not by demanding, not by nagging, but simply by showing him what's acceptable and what's not. Standards don't come from a place of pride. They come from a place of knowing your worth. When you know what you bring to the table, you don't let someone eat for free. Standards are the price of admission, the guideline that makes sure both people are showing up fully, giving equally, and respecting the bond. Think about this. Loyalty isn't tested when everything is easy. Loyalty is tested in temptation, in distraction, in challenge. And when a man knows the standards of the woman he loves, those standards become the guardrails that keep him from swerving off the road. Standards remind him that if he wants to keep her, he has to move with integrity, honesty, and consistency. Without standards, he'll think he can cut corners. But with standards, he knows shortcuts won't work here. Standards shape loyalty because they define the culture of the relationship. Every relationship has a culture. It's either chaos or consistency, confusion or clarity, instability or security. Standards decide which one you live in. If your standard is respect, then the culture of your love is respect. If your standard is communication, then the culture of your love is transparency. If your standard is effort, then the culture of your love is consistency. And when a man steps into that culture, he either adapts to it or he leaves. And that's how you know if his loyalty is genuine. The thing about standards is this: they don't push men away, they reveal men. A man who truly sees your worth will rise to your standards, not resist them. He won't complain about the bar being too high because he'll understand that you are worth it. The only ones who push back against standards are the ones who want benefits without responsibility. They want your heart, but not your commitment, your body, but not your respect, your loyalty, but not your boundaries. And when you have standards, you make it clear, this isn't a playground, this is a partnership. Standards also shape loyalty because they give a man structure. Men need structure. A lot of times we think men just want freedom, but the truth is freedom without boundaries turns into chaos. A man may not say it out loud, but he craves the security of knowing what's expected of him. Standards give him that. They say, this is how we build. This is how we grow. This is how we keep it strong. And when he has that clarity, it makes loyalty easier because he knows the blueprint. He doesn't have to guess. Standards also determine pace. If your standard is that love should be intentional, then you're not letting him play games with your time. If your standard is honesty, then you're not allowing lies to slide. If your standard is effort, then you're not settling for inconsistency. Those standards force him to either step up or step out. And when he steps up, that's loyalty in action. He's not just there when it's convenient. He's showing up because your standards told him. This is what it takes. Well, standards don't mean perfection. You're not saying, you have to be flawless to love me. You're saying, you have to be committed. You have to be consistent. You have to be respectful. Standards are not about being unrealistic. They're about being clear. Too many people lose themselves in relationships because they were never clear about their standards. And when you're not clear, you start excusing things you should never accept. You start calling disloyalty, mistakes, disrespect, stress, inconsistency, miscommunication. But when you have standards, you call it what it is. And calling it what it is protects your love from being watered down. Standards shape loyalty because they protect your self-worth. When you lower your standards just to keep a man, you teach him that loyalty is optional. But when you hold to your standards, you teach him that loyalty is the only way to keep you. That's the difference. Standards tell him, if you want me, you must value me enough to be loyal to me. Loyalty doesn't grow out of convenience. It grows out of respect for the standard you've set. And let's be real, every man is loyal to something. Some are loyal to their habits. Some are loyal to their comfort. Some are loyal to their own selfish desires. But when a man falls in love with a woman who has standards, his loyalty begins to shift. He becomes loyal to her peace, loyal to her happiness, loyal to her respect. Why? Because he knows her standards won't let him play with it. He knows her standards mean that if he doesn't honor her, he loses her. And a man who truly loves you will do everything in his power not to lose you. Standards shape loyalty because they are the silent teacher. You don't have to keep reminding him what you expect. Once you've made your standards clear, your actions do the talking. You walk away from disrespect. You stop engaging with inconsistency. You shut down lies before they spread. Those actions become lessons. And those lessons turn into loyalty because he realizes you're not like everyone else. He realizes your love is rare, and rare things don't come cheap. Standards also make love last. Without standards, love starts strong but fades fast because there's nothing to hold it together. But when standards are in place, loyalty becomes the glue. Even when attraction shifts, even when challenges come, the standard holds both people accountable. And when accountability is present, loyalty is natural. A man doesn't see loyalty as a burden. He sees it as a responsibility he's proud to carry because he knows that's what keeps the relationship alive. And here's the beauty of its standards. Don't just shape his loyalty, they shape yours too. They keep you from lowering yourself, from over-giving, from loving blindly. Standards remind you to love with wisdom, to give without losing yourself, to pour without running empty. And when both of you are loyal to the standard, the love becomes stronger than temptation, stronger than distraction, stronger than time. Self-love sets the tone. Every relationship a woman has, whether it's with a man, with her family, with her career, or with herself, flows from the way she loves herself first. If you don't know how to love yourself, you leave room for people to come in and decide how much you're worth. And 9 times out of 10, they will underestimate you. But when self-love is real, when it's rooted deep inside you, it shapes the entire rhythm of your life. It sets the tone for how you talk, how you walk, how you respond, how you let others treat you, and how you decide to treat yourself. Self-love isn't arrogance. It isn't about thinking you're better than anybody else. It isn't about being selfish or cold. Self-love is the decision to stop abandoning yourself. It's the commitment to stop settling for less than you deserve. It's the choice to protect your peace, your joy, your body, your mind, and your heart as if they are treasures, because they are. And here's the truth. When a man sees that you love yourself, he has no choice but to treat you on that level. He knows right away that if he comes half-stepping, if he comes with lies, if he comes with games, you won't tolerate it. That's the power of self-love. It sets the tone without you having to say a word. Think about the way music works. Every song has a key, a rhythm, a beat. That beat sets the tone for the entire track. If the beat is slow, the song is slow. If the beat is fast, the song is fast. Everything in that song follows the rhythm. That's what self-love does in life. It's your beat. It's your rhythm. It's the signal that tells everybody around you how to dance to the music of your life. If your beat says, I will tolerate disrespect, then people will move with disrespect. If your beat says, I expect honesty, I expect effort, I expect loyalty, then people will step in rhythm with that too. Self-love sets the tone because it builds confidence. When you love yourself, you stop asking for permission to exist. You stop waiting for somebody else to validate you, to crown you, to tell you you're enough. You already know you're enough. That confidence makes you magnetic. It makes a man take notice because confidence backed by self-love is rare. A woman who doesn't need him but chooses him is far more powerful than a woman who clings to him out of fear of being alone. And that power doesn't push the right man away. It pulls him closer. It inspires him to bring his best because he knows she won't accept less. Self-love sets the tone because it establishes boundaries without bitterness. When you love yourself, you don't have to yell to be heard. You don't have to fight to be seen. You simply know what's right for you. And you don't step outside of that. You don't chase what hurts you. You don't beg for what ignores you. You don't cry over what devalues you. Self-love makes walking away easier because you'd rather disappoint somebody else than disappoint yourself. That decision changes everything. It keeps you in alignment. It protects your spirit from unnecessary storms. And let's be real, self-love is not always easy. It's not spa days and pretty quotes on social media. Sometimes self-love is saying no when you want to say yes. Sometimes it's leaving a relationship that still feels good but isn't good for you. Sometimes it's spending time alone because you refuse to settle for half love. Sometimes it's rebuilding yourself after years of letting others define you. It's hard. It's lonely at times. But it is always worth it because self-love sets the tone, not just for romance, but for the quality of your entire life. Self-love also determines how deeply a man can love you. A man can only meet you at the level you've met yourself. If you love yourself halfway, he will love you halfway. If you doubt yourself, he will doubt you. If you neglect yourself, he will neglect you. But if you treat yourself with care, if you speak life into yourself, if you demand respect from yourself, then he knows he can't come at you with anything less. Self-love becomes the model he follows. It shows him what you expect without you needing to say it out loud. Self-love sets the tone because it removes desperation. Desperation is dangerous. It makes people settle. It makes people tolerate nonsense. It makes people cling to situations that don't serve them. But when you love yourself, you don't move from desperation. You move from abundance. You know that you are whole. Whether someone else comes along or not, you know that your happiness doesn't depend on another person's presence, but on your own decisions. And that kind of peace makes a man respect you more. He doesn't feel like you're using him to fill a void. He feels like you're choosing him from a place of strength, not weakness. When self-love sets the tone, your standards naturally rise. You don't even have to think about it because you automatically know what doesn't align with you. You don't settle for bare minimum. You don't wait around for someone to see your value. You live in it every single day. And because of that, the kind of man who comes into your life will already know that he can't love you. He can't breadcrumb you. He can't give you excuses instead of effort. He either steps up or steps out. And when he steps up, that's when loyalty and love are built on solid ground. Self-love shapes how you respond to love too. When you don't love yourself, you cling, you smother, you try to control because you're afraid of losing. But when you do love yourself, you can love freely. You can give without fear because your identity isn't tied to whether he stays or leaves. You already know who you are. That freedom makes your love healthier, more secure, and more attractive. A man doesn't feel trapped by a woman who loves herself. He feels inspired by her. He feels challenged to match her energy. He feels proud to walk beside her because she shines on her own. And let's talk about attraction. Self-love is magnetic in ways physical beauty could never be. Looks fade, bodies change, circumstances shift, but self-love radiates from within. It's in the way you walk into a room with confidence, in the way you speak with authority, in the way you carry yourself with dignity. That glow can't be manufactured. It can't be bought. It can't be imitated. And when a man sees that, it captivates him more than anything else. He doesn't just want to touch it. He wants to protect it, to keep it, to grow with it. Self-love sets the tone because it influences the way you handle conflict. A woman who loves herself doesn't lose her entire identity in an argument. She doesn't compromise her dignity for the sake of winning. She knows how to step back, how to breathe, how to decide what's worth her energy. She knows that peace is more valuable than being right. And because she treats herself with that kind of care, her man learns to treat her the same way. He learns not to yell, not to disrespect, not to tear down, because he knows she won't accept it, not from him, not from anyone. Self-love is also resilience. Life will test you. Love will test you. You will be disappointed. You will be hurt. You will be let down. But self-love makes you bounce back. It reminds you that pain is not the end. That loss does not define you. That rejection is simply redirection. Self-love tells you, I am still valuable even when someone fails to see it. That resilience sets the tone in a relationship too, because it shows a man that you won't fall apart at the first challenge. You will rise, you will heal, you will continue forward. And that strength earns his loyalty because he sees he's not just with a woman, he's with a queen. Self-love sets the tone for legacy as well. The way you love yourself teaches your children, your friends, your family what love is supposed to look like. It shows the next generation that settling is not an option, that dignity is non-negotiable, that peace is priceless. Your self-love becomes the template for others. It spreads beyond your relationship and into your community. And when a man sees that, he realizes he's not just loving you for himself. He's stepping into a standard that will echo for years to come.